It was no surprise in the summer of '97, to those who knew Nancy Wilson Goki, when she announced her and good friend Monica Johnson, a Sonora school teacher, had booked a 2-week dream vacation to the portals of the Austria Alps, the picturesque Sound of Music town of Salzburg, Austria, and from the majestic Alps, the two would journey to Egypt, the pyramids, the Sinai and the shores of the Mediterranean. July 11, Nancy and Monica boarding a San Francisco Airport British Airlines 747 at 6:20 p.m. for the 10-hour 10-minute non-stop flight to London, arriving at Heathrow Aerodrome at 12:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on the 12th, an 8-hour time difference, the two having a 4.5-hour layover, boarding a Lufthansa airline Airbus 320 for the hour-and-a-half flight to Frankfurt, Germany, a 9:50 p.m., 1-hour flight having them arrive at Salzburg's W.A. Mozart Airport. From the Gabler Brau, Star-Inn Hotel. Nancy and Monica looking forward to exploring this culturally historic city. Their tour itinerary having scheduled a Sound of Music dinner show, a Sound of Music tour of the scenic movie landmarks, and a Sound of Music evening marionette show. With a bountiful itinerary of other tours available, more than sufficient to fill their 4-day stay. The two starting their elucidative journey venturing to the 141-mile-long Salzach River which flows into the Johann Strauss music-acclaimed Danube, viewing Wolfgang Media's Mozart's birthplace home on the river's edge, and from the pedestrian river bridge, able to behold the majestic Hohenzollernberg fortress in the distance. Their walking tour taking them to the center of historic Salzburg, the Residenzbrunnen fountain residing in the center of the old town square. The square erected between 1656 to 1661, enclosed within the Salzburg Cathedral grounds. The Salzburg Cathedral still contains the baptismal font in which composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was baptized. Continuing on to St. Peter's Abbey, the Benedictine monastery and former cathedral, considered one of the oldest German-speaking monasteries. The Sentinel Hohenzollernberg Fortress, beckoning from its vestige overlook. Construction of the fortress beginning in 1077 and gradually expanding through the centuries. The ring walls and towers being built in 1462 under Prince Archbishop Burkhard von Weisspriach II. Starting in 1498, Archbishop Leonard von Kuchak installing the magnificent state apartments, a chapel, and with the richly decorated Golden Hall, indicates the fortress served the archbishops not only as a sanctuary in times of adversity, but as a home. Nancy and Monica entering, the two discovering a treasure trove of the heirlooms, princely artifacts, and magnificent rooms, one could spend hours emulsified in the grandeur. The evening found the two enjoying the Sound of Music dinner show at the Stiegelkeller Restaurant and Gardens. The vacationers enraptured by the local musical presentation of the songs from the Rodgers and Hammerstein 1959 play and 1965 movie, The Story of the Von Trapp Family Singers. An enlightening video narrated by Maria von Trapp was viewed, giving insight to some of the events and realities encountered in their exodus. The 9:30 morning Sound of Music guided tour commencing, viewing the Mirabel Gardens and Pegasus Fountain, where Maria and the children danced in the movie. A stop at the Leopoldskron Palace and Gardens where the famous boating scene was filmed. And at the Herbert von Karajan Square with the famous horse pond, which dates back to the 17th century, where the Prince Archbishop's stables used to wash off and groomed the parade horses. Stopping at the Hellbrunn Palace, behind the palace walls are some 60 hectares of artistically landscaped gardens, and the gazebo where Liesel and Franz sang to each other the enduring song, 16 going on 17. On to the Nonnberg Convent. The abbey is the oldest female convent north of the Alps, and the courtyard of the abbey is where the song Maria was staged. The heart of the old city center is Residence Square. In the film, Maria crossed this square singing, "I Have Confidence," while on her way to the Trapp family home for the first time. At the rock cliff base of Monksberg Mountain, named after the Benedictine monks, the church caves overlooking St. Peter's Church and Cemetery, the cliff forming the back wall of the church consecrated in 1178. St. Peter's Church can be seen in the opening scene, where the military was searching for the Von Trapps, the family hiding behind the tombstones. The two once again fulfilling a quest, a morning tour of the 500-year-old Salzburg work Durenberg underground salt mine located on the Durenberg Plateau, above the town of Hallein. Disembarking from the Grey Line bus at the entrance to the mine, the group provided protective coveralls for their personal attire before boarding the miners' train, venturing them 1,300 feet into the mountain. Inside, instructions on mounting the impressive 138-foot wooden slide down to the grotto and brine lake. For many an exhilarating experience. Once below, an informative presentation given of the salt extraction process, the utilization of the addition of water, turning the salt into a brine and pumping it to the surface, where the water would be evaporated. The domed underground area donned with emphasizing lighting, and an underground boating experience on the brine lake before the group exited the subterranean cathedral. In 1938, National Socialist Workers' Party Secretary Bormann embraced the construction of a tea-house on the 6,217-foot Kelstein Mountain. Bormann's goal was to impress diplomats from all over the world, to witness what German engineers could accomplish. The original name of the tea-house was the D, referring to diplomats, later commonly known as Kelsteinhaus, the Eagle's Nest. The engineering project, including a 11,000-square-foot structure erected on the rocky promontory, included a tunnel, elevator, and employed 3,000 well-paid Germans, Austrians and Italians. It was completed in 13 months, and presented to Chancellor Hitler in 1939 as a gift on his 50th birthday. The morning Eagle Nest tour bus leaving at 9:00 a.m., an overcast drizzle greeting on their pass through of Berchtesgaden, continuing the 4-mile elevated drive to the Eagle's Nest parking area and entrance tunnel, the group entering the 430-foot tunneled entryway inside Kelsteinhaus Mountain. Arriving at a circular reception room to embark on the ornate brass and mirror-walled elevator for the 400-foot ride up. The two somewhat disappointed, the weather not cooperating. The world-acclaimed majestic view from the Eagle's Nest was somewhat obscured with low cloud overcast. Inside experiencing the presence of a tea-house, but sensing an indelibly inscribed atmosphere of a detrimental history. From the quaint town of Hallein the Grey Line motoring along the King's Lake Ake, continuing to the Obersalzberg, traversing the scenic valleys below the ever-towering Alps. A final stop at Berchtesgaden before returning to the morning bidding a farewell to Salzburg, Nancy and Monica boarding a 10:20 a.m. flight to Frankfurt, then according a Lufthansa airline Airbus 320 to London Heathrow. Arriving at 2:00 in the afternoon. Checking in at the Nevern Hotel, the two opt for a Golden Tours hop-on, hop-off bus tour to the Kensington Palace and Gardens. The estate made up of several buildings, rental apartments to bloodline royalty and other members of state. A residence of the British royal family since the 17th century, and currently the official London residence of Diana, Princess of Wales, sons William and Harry, the two enjoying the exhibits and the pristine gardens. Their visiting time having elapsed, a Heathrow departure having arrived, Nancy and Monica boarding an afternoon British Airlines 320, bidding a farewell to London, their journey to continue, Cairo and Egypt awaits.